Picture this. It's 2025. The world has changed in ways we could never have imagined just a few years ago. You wake up, make your coffee, fair trade of course, and check your bank account. The morning sun filters through your window as you take a sip, savoring the rich aroma. Your entire paycheck is just sitting there, no taxes were taken out. You feel a sense of relief and excitement as you realize that every penny you earned is yours to keep. Why? Because the government has decided to fund everything with tariffs instead. This radical shift in policy has everyone talking. Sounds too good to be true? Well, it probably is. There are always trade-offs and hidden costs in any system. But let's dive into this tariff-filled fantasy world and see what we find. Imagine a world where the price of imported goods is higher, but your paycheck remains untouched by taxes. This idea of living in a tariff-funded utopia might sound appealing at first, but there are a few wrinkles to iron out. For instance, how would this impact the cost of living and the economy as a whole? Namely, what exactly are tariffs, and how would they affect our everyday lives? Tariffs are essentially taxes on imported goods, which means the cost of products from other countries would go up. Buckle up, folks, because we're about to embark on a wild ride through the world of international trade and government finance. This journey will take us through the highs and lows of economic policy, and just to keep things interesting, we'll throw in a few historical cautionary tales along the way. These stories will help us understand the potential pitfalls and benefits of a tariff-based system. So, as we weigh the pros and cons, consider how this shift could change not just your bank account, but your daily life. From the groceries you buy to the gadgets you love, everything could be affected. Imagine the possibilities and the challenges. Could this new system lead to a more prosperous society, or would it create new hurdles for us to overcome? Only time will tell. Let's start with the basics. What the heck is a tariff anyway? In the simplest terms, it's a tax on imported goods. Imagine you're buying a delicious avocado from Mexico. With a tariff, the government slaps an extra fee on that avocado, making it more expensive for you. This is supposed to encourage people to buy avocados grown locally, even if they're smaller and bumpier. Now you might be thinking, John, I love avocados, but I also love a good deal. And you'd be right. Tariffs often lead to higher prices for consumers. Suddenly, your avocado toast becomes a luxury item, and your dreams of guacamole night are dashed. But hey, at least the government is raking in the dough, right? Well, it's not that simple. Let's rewind the clock back to the 1930s, a time when fedoras were fashionable, and the global economy was doing a pretty convincing impression of a dumpster fire. Enter the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, a piece of legislation so ill-advised it makes the Bay of Pigs invasion look like a well-thought-out plan. This act slapped huge tariffs on thousands of imported goods, hoping to protect American jobs. The result? A catastrophic trade war that plunged the world deeper into the Great Depression. Other countries retaliated with their own tariffs, global trade ground to a halt, and everyone ended up worse off. Lesson learned? Tariffs can be a bit like playing with fire. Sure, you might get a nice warm glow, but you're more likely to burn the whole house down. Okay, I'll admit it. Tariffs aren't always a recipe for economic disaster. Sometimes they can be a useful tool for governments. For example, they can help protect local industries from being crushed by cheaper foreign competition. Imagine a world without tariffs on steel. Suddenly, American steelworkers are competing with factories in other countries that pay their workers pennies a day. Not exactly a fair fight, is it? Tariffs can also generate revenue for the government, which can then be used to fund important public services like education, healthcare, and, of course, my salary. And let's not forget about the environmental impact. By making imported goods more expensive, tariffs can encourage people to buy locally, reducing the carbon footprint associated with shipping things all over the globe. Section 5. But tariffs can also be very, very bad. Remember that whole trade war thing we talked about earlier? It was all over the news, with headlines screaming about tariffs and retaliations. Politicians were making bold statements, and the stock market was reacting wildly. Yeah, that's a real risk with tariffs. They can lead to a full-blown trade war, which is essentially an economic conflict resulting from extreme protectionism. Economists often warn about the dangers of such scenarios. When one country raises tariffs, others tend to retaliate, leading to a tit-for-tat escalation that hurts everyone involved. It's like a domino effect where each action prompts a counteraction, and before you know it, the situation spirals out of control. It's like a game of economic chicken, except the stakes are much higher than just bruised egos. Countries are essentially daring each other to back down, but the consequences are far-reaching and severe. We're talking about lost jobs, higher prices, and a whole lot of economic uncertainty. Factories may shut down, leading to unemployment, and the cost of living can skyrocket, making everyday life more challenging for everyone. And then there's the impact on consumers. Remember those expensive avocados? Well, it's not just avocados. The prices of many everyday items can go up, making it harder for people to afford the things they need. Tariffs can make a wide range of imported goods more costly, from cars and electronics to clothing and food. This means that consumers have to pay more for the same products they used to buy at lower prices. This can hit low-income households particularly hard, as they spend a larger proportion of their income on essential goods. When prices go up, they feel the impact more acutely. These families often have tight budgets and little room for price increases. So, when tariffs drive up the cost of essentials, it can lead to difficult choices and financial strain. So, while the government might be raking in more money from tariffs, which can be used for public projects or to reduce deficits, the overall economic health can suffer. Consumers are left feeling the pinch. They face higher prices at the checkout, and this can lead to frustration and dissatisfaction. In the end, the negative impacts of tariffs can ripple through the entire economy, affecting everyone from producers to consumers. Let's be real for a second. Running a country, even one as seemingly dysfunctional as ours, costs a lot of money. And when I say a lot, I mean an astronomical amount. We're talking trillions of dollars every year to fund everything from national defense and infrastructure to healthcare and education. Imagine the sheer scale of it all. The military needs the latest equipment and training. Our roads and bridges need constant maintenance and upgrades. Hospitals require state-of-the-art technology and skilled professionals. And schools need resources to educate the next generation. And that's before we even get started on things like scientific research, environmental protection, and of course my lavish HBO salary. Scientific research is crucial for innovation and progress. Environmental protection ensures we have a planet to live on. And yes, even the entertainment industry plays a role in our economy. Now, I'm not saying the government is always the best at spending our money wisely. We've all seen examples of wasteful spending and mismanagement. In fact, I'm pretty sure I could balance the budget using nothing but a rusty abacus and a half-eaten bag of Cheetos. But jokes aside, the complexity of managing a national budget is immense. It's not just about balancing the books, it's about making strategic decisions that impact millions of lives. But the point is, the government needs a reliable and substantial source of revenue to function. Without it, we wouldn't be able to maintain the services and infrastructure that we often take for granted. And tariffs, as appealing as they might seem to some, simply don't generate enough money to replace income taxes altogether. Tariffs can help regulate trade and protect domestic industries, but they are not a panacea for our revenue needs. Income taxes, despite their unpopularity, are a crucial component of our financial system, ensuring that the government can continue to operate and provide essential services. Nope. Okay, let's rip the Band-Aid off quickly. Could we realistically fund the entire US government solely through tariffs? In a word, no, not a chance, not even close. It's about as likely as me winning a Nobel Prize in economics, although stranger things have happened, I suppose. While tariffs can generate some revenue, it's a drop in the bucket compared to the trillions of dollars the government collects in income taxes. Replacing this massive source of funding with tariffs would require astronomical rates on virtually every imported good imaginable. We're talking about making your morning coffee more expensive than a down payment on a small car. Not exactly a recipe for a happy populace. So, if tariffs aren't the magic bullet solution to our tax woes, what is? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? There are no easy answers, but it's clear we need to start thinking bigger and bolder about how we fund our government. We need to have a serious conversation about tax reform, closing loopholes, and ensuring that everyone pays their fair share. This isn't just about crunching numbers and balancing budgets, it's about investing in our future. It's about creating a fairer, more just, and more prosperous society for all Americans. It's about ensuring that everyone has access to quality education, affordable healthcare, and a chance to live a fulfilling life. The future of government finance is uncertain, but one thing's for sure, it's going to take a collective effort to figure it out. We need to move beyond simplistic solutions like relying solely on tariffs and engage in a thoughtful, nuanced conversation about how we fund the services that matter most. So, the next time you're at the grocery store, staring longingly at a perfectly ripe avocado, take a moment to consider the complex web of trade, taxation, and government finance that brought it to your shopping cart. And then, maybe buy a less expensive piece of fruit, because let's face it, avocados are delicious, but they shouldn't cost an arm and a leg.